Hi guys, Midwest Outdoorsman here with another video. This time, a lot of times I've been doing guns and knives and stuff lately. I'm going to switch over to bow hunting this time. And I'm going to do a review of the quote-unquote best broadheads. It's a really touchy subject. Everyone has their favorite broadhead. And I'm just going to tell you what I've learned from my experience hunting with different broadheads, testing different broadheads, the setup that I have, and the speeds I'm shooting them at, and what I found. So if you guys have a broadhead that you like that I don't cover here, or that I don't think is as good as the ones that I'm using, or whatever, I'm not trying to trash anybody's decisions or choices, because if something works for you, fine, great. This is just what works for me and what I've learned over the years. So with that in mind, here we go. Basically, you have your two categories of broadheads. The first one is your fixed blade, obviously, and the second one is your mechanicals. Now, I was a big fixed blade guy for years and years and years and years. I mean, I still am. It's not biased against one or the other. I kind of use, their tools. I use them for what I intend to use them for, depending upon what my setup is. For years, I hunted with a bow. I had a Bowtech Blackhawk, which only shot about 260 feet per second, and I think at those speeds, fixed blade broadheads are the way to go, because it's not a super fast bow, so you don't really have to worry about wind planing and stuff as much, and also it's not as fast, so it doesn't have as much kinetic energy. So the fixed blades, the penetration, I think, helps to make up for that little bit of difference, and I just have good luck with them. Paired with that, I mean, you can use them with anything, but right now, the bow that I have a it's like a 2000, I believe it's a 2011 Bowtech Invasion CPX, and I really like the bow and everything. I shoot well with it, and it shoots about, with my setup, I have Carbon Express Maxima Hunters, the blue diamond weave, I think they are, and I'm shooting about 310, 315 feet per second with about a 400-ish grain arrow, 410, somewhere on there. I can't remember. I think it's like 408 or something. Shooting 70 pounds, 30.5-inch draw. So with those higher speeds, it really will show you, especially in a fixed blade broadhead, if it's prone to wind planing at all, or if they're not consistent or accurate at those higher speeds. And a lot of times, even if you can get fixed blades that shoot well at those higher speeds, the blade angles become really acute because they have to shrink the size down so much more and stuff. And so that really led me to kind of experiment with different mechanicals, because I got a lot better flight out of some of the mechanicals. And a lot of people say if you have a properly tuned bow, fixed blades should shoot just fine, and that's true. I get some that shoot just fine too, but I also wanted to get something to see if I could get a little bit better blood trails. I have some old standbys that I would use, but then just like everyone, I'm always looking for the next best thing. If I get a tool that will help me kill the whitetail more efficiently, faster, leave a better blood trail, especially with bow hunting, it's such a touchy thing, because shot placement, angle, all that stuff is so much different than a rifle, because you're trying to kill by hemorrhaging. You don't have the shock of a bullet to help you kill something if you happen to hit it a little bit off or at a weird angle or something. There are a lot of factors that come in, and this is something I think a lot of people don't take into consideration. It doesn't matter what broadhead you use. If you don't hit them right, you're probably not going to kill them, or you're probably not going to recover the deer, or you might not have a good blood trail. And also, you can shoot them absolutely perfectly and not get a good blood trail, and that's really not the broadhead's fault. Sometimes, depending on how much fat a deer has, the angle of the hit, there's so many factors that come into play that to produce a good blood trail. If I get time, or if I learn how to, I'm still learning how to do this stuff, I'll insert some pictures of some deer that I'd shot, and stuff like that, if I can get to it. If I don't, I'll just have to describe it to you. But I shot a small buck, like Spike. It was like the last day of the season. I wanted to meet. I had been holding out for a decent buck, but I didn't get a chance at a decent one. So I said, all right, I'm going to shoot any deer that I see, unless it was a buck fawn. And so I had a Spike come in, and I was shooting two-blade rages, and everyone at my work was saying, oh, they're so good. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll give them a try. So I actually had shot a deer through the back of the lungs, right where the lungs meet the liver, and I had lost that deer, no blood. I hardly ever lose deer with a bow, and I ended up losing that one with the rage. And it can happen with anything, but So it kind of shook my confidence in them a little bit. And I know a lot of people love them. I'm not trying to bash them or anything. But then this just goes to show you, this buck came out as a spike. It was about a 20-yard shot. I put it right behind the shoulder, and Broadhead went in, opened up perfectly, went through the center of the heart, went through, broke the opposite leg and the body, where the leg and the shoulder meet, broke and busted out 2-inch hole. So there's a 2-inch hole going in, 2-inch hole going out, massive hole right through the center of the heart. And I watched that deer run about 30, 40 yards, tip over and die, done, And so you think that there would just be this massive blood trail because of, being this huge hole on either side of the deer and going right through the heart. And there was not a drop of blood from where I shot that deer to where the deer fell. Not a drop. I thought maybe it was spraying out on the, not directly on the ground by it, but it was spraying out on the brush or the trees or whatever, because sometimes with a heart shot, if it's pumping, it'll do that. It'll spray up onto the trees and stuff, and you won't actually see it on the ground. I checked everything. There wasn't a drop of blood. So it could have been that the heart was spraying in the inside of the body cavity, and the blood was pooling on the inside of the body cavity maybe. I don't know. But weird stuff can happen, so just keep that in mind. It killed the deer just fine. I made a perfect hit. And the Broadhead did its job great, but there still wasn't a blood trail. So you gotta always remember that no matter what you're using, stuff like that can happen. But anyways, back to the Broadheads. So I with the higher speed bows, I've had good luck with some of the mechanicals, and I really, being a fixed blade guy for years and years and years, I wanted to test to see the durability, the accuracy, and everything, and I got good accuracy on a lot of them, but a lot of the over-the-top expandables I don't really care for, because on really hard quartering shots, they can kick out, and I don't like that. As far as what I'm talking about, like these are Schwacker 125 grains, currently what I've been using, and see how that tip before the leading edge of these first blades. Look how far that is. You get that much of the, no matter what quartering shot you get, that much of that Broadhead is penetrated into the deer before those blades hit. So you're not going to get a kick out with something like this. That's why I really like them. A really good design. I'll get back to that later. But anyways, as far as I did a lot of testing. I bought tons of Broadhead. Every Broadhead I could get my hands on, I bought. I went to every store. Within reason, I tried most of the good quality ones that I could get on. Different designs. Designs that look cool, people, designs people tell me they had good luck with, all different stuff. And these are kind of the ones that I'm left with after doing all the testing that I've done. And like I said, if your favorite Broadhead isn't on here, I'm not trying to trash it, but these are Broadheads that I've personally tested, I've personally killed animals with, and I can give you a testament to how well they work and maybe what niche you might want to use them for. And so we'll start with the fixed blades first. Now, if for a guy hunting on a budget, there's a couple great options. For years and years, this is the Muzzy MX3 right here with that nice trocar tip, that bone-breaking tip that does work. I've seen it work time and time and time again. Fantastic, just simple design, very, very affordable. For a guy on a budget, I would have to say that the Muzzy regular 100 grains, or if you have a little faster bow, I would go with the MX3. They're sharp enough. They're not the sharpest Broadhead out there, but they're sharp enough to do the job. They have a very solid locking system, and like I said, this trocar tip on here is just fantastic. Really does a good job of breaking if you happen to hit a shoulder blade or hit the ribs or whatever. That really does a good job of busting through. And the blades, like I said, are sharp enough to do the job for the price point that you get. These, I think you get 3 in a pack for about 30 bucks, or a little bit more expensive. If you have a bow that isn't, I'd say right at around 300 feet per second or over. If it's if you're under 300, 290. If you're under there, you could probably get by with the Muzzy regular standard 100 grain. You can get a 6-pack of them for about 30 bucks, I believe it is. And that's a great option for a guy in the budget. Killed probably more deer with Muzzy fixed blades than all the other ones combined. I used to use them for years and years and years and years and years until I got up into the higher speed bows. I never really had a need to switch, because if you hit a deer well I mean, shot placing is the most important thing, but if you hit a deer well, you get a decent blood trail. Not as good as some of the other ones, but that's a factor of a lot of different things, like I was describing with that other hit that I had with those rages. They do a good job. I'm not a big fan of the 4-blade broadheads. They do cut more, but as far as the flight characteristics, the way that they are, I've shot deer with them and have other people that shot deer with them and stuff, and I tend to stick with the 3-blade for the most part. But like I said, for a guy on the budget, those are really great options. Or a great option. Another great option for a guy on a budget is right here. This is the Magnus Stinger Buzzcut. And it has, they make them in 2 blades, which they would call that just these huge main blades right here, and then they'll see I got 2 bleeder blades right there. This is a fantastic broadhead. And now this kind of defies a little bit of what, I was saying, like people shrinking their broadheads down to shoot faster bows to get good groups. These fly extremely well out of my bow. I mean, if I was going to go to fixed blade, especially if you guys are hunting elk or moose or bigger bears, any of the larger, really heavy-boned animals like that, this is an excellent choice for a couple of reasons. One is look at the cutting edge you have on there. Look at how much edge you have to cut with. You have this whole edge there. Sorry, I can't really get the shadow going on here. But look at that. Look at that edge you have to cut with versus like this muzzy. See how they make them, which is still a good broadhead, but see how the muzzy is compact, and see how the blade length, this is unsharpened of course, but the sharpened length of the blade versus this Magnus Stinger, you have a lot more cutting surface along here. And the back end of these blades is also sharpened. So if you stick that deer and that arrow sticks inside, let's say you shoot an elk and you hit it through the shoulder blade and it penetrates up to the fletchings or whatever, and that broadhead is inside of the deer, around his lungs or his heart area, even if you didn't hit the heart, if he's running, that broadhead's going to bounce around like this. And not only will, like a regular broadhead, you have this area to slice it up, but you also have this area here to slice. And it makes that really nice to pull out of a target too. You can use these for your fixed, or when you're using them for practice. And you also have these offset little bleeder blades, and just a fantastic fixed blade design. And if I was going after elk, this is probably what I would take, or moose or something, because these designs penetrate really well, really thick main blade. I think it's 0.42-ish, somewhere around there. I like the chisel tip kind of design, even though it doesn't have like a trocar tip. It's got a really beefy tip on it. And they're really, really, really sharp. These are the sharpest, I'd say, broadheads out of the package, out of any broadhead that I've ever tested. Right up there, if not better than the other one I'm going to show you, the Mon Tech G5 Striker, with those Lutz blades. But you can't get any sharper than this from the factory. You just can't, especially for the price. They used to be cheaper. They upped their price, I think, last year or the year before. I think it's $35-ish for 3 of them. This is 100 grain. They make, 2-blade, 4-blade, 100 grain, 125. I think they make even heavier, like 140s and stuff. And they make also lower ones, 75, 85, somewhere around there. But this is just a great option for fixed blades, like I said, especially for bigger animals. Now these, even though they're super sharp, they don't leave as good of blood trails. This isn't, it's kind of take it with a grain of salt, but they don't leave as good of blood trails as some of like these big, expandables and stuff. But most important thing with bows is shot placement, and these have it where it counts. They have a long cutting surface. I like the jagged edge on here for the way that it cuts through the animal. They also have just the regular Stinger. This is the Stinger Buzzcut. The regular Stinger is just a regular smooth blade. Doesn't have the serrations if you don't care for that. I really like it just because of the way it cuts the tissue. But just an excellent option. And it flies really well up to, I've tested them up to 60 yards, and they fly right in there with my field points. Like I said, most of the time, if your bow is tuned correctly, it will shoot decent. And these defy everything because they have a longer cutting surface. They're fixed blades, but they still fly well. Extremely sharp, extremely durable, and they have a lifetime warranty. If you ever break this broadhead, send it into Magnus, and they'll give you another one. I believe that's even if it's your fault, whatever. You hit a rock, it doesn't matter. You send it in, and they'll give you another one, which is really good. You can replace the main blade here and the bleeder blades. You know, so I can't say enough about this. You know, but like I said, the blood trails, it'll give you a blood trail, but not as good as, you know, some of the bigger cuts will. But that's also why I wanted to switch to expandables, to give me a bigger cutting diameter on whitetails anyway. Once you switch into a bigger game like elk and moose, I think it's more important to have something that's sharp, that'll penetrate and stuff, more than the cutting diameter. You have a bigger target, so you don't have to really worry about, you know, missing the vitals as much and stuff. So there's that. And then also, this is probably my second choice. These MX3s and the regular Muzzy 100 grains would be my choice for a guy on the budget. And tied for first place for me is you got the Magnus Stinger Buzzcut, or you have this right here. This is kind of a little more of a conventional broadhead, but this is the Mon Tech G5 Striker. And I've shot deer with this thing, and it is super, super sharp. Flies really, really well. It's a little bit, you know, it's a shorter, compact head, so it does fly good out of the bows that are shooting a little bit faster speeds. But see how the blades, like I was talking about, the cutting edge compared to your Magnus, a little bit less. Also, it has a sweet tip on it, all steel, and look at that tip. See how the leading edge of the tip, the blades actually go inside, and where the tip is, sorry, it's a little dark here. See where the tip is, and the blades all line up, so they slide in right behind there, right here, here, and here, and so that edge cuts consistently from here all the way back from the tip to the blade. And it, like I said, it's all steel. Never lost a blade on these. Extremely sharp. Right up there with the Muzzies, or maybe just a hair behind, but still, I mean, they're basically tied for the sharpest out of the package that I've ever seen. Really, really well put together broadhead. I remember I shot a deer with these a couple years ago, and it was just amazing. It almost didn't even disturb the hair. It double lunged the deer about 20 yards, and you could just see the hair part, and the broadhead went completely through, and that deer took off at a dead run and running as fast as he could, and he only made it about 25-30 yards, and he couldn't run anymore. I double lunged him. But having a sharp broadhead that goes through and actually cuts, you know, the lungs and stuff, versus tearing, makes a big difference in how fast they die. And I've had really good luck with this broadhead, and like I said, this is probably my first choice along with that Magnus, depending, they're completely different styles, so depending on what kind of animal you're hunting, and the speed of your bow, and what kind of setup and what you prefer. These are the two that I would probably recommend the most over anything, is this G5 Striker, if you want a replaceable blade, kind of more traditional, and then this also the Stinger Buzzcut. And then also another one that I'd throw into the mix is just this regular G5 Mon Tech. This is another good design here. Now for you guys that like to sharpen your broadheads and you don't want a replaceable blade broadhead, if you want replaceable blades, I'd say go with the G5 Striker for sure. But this is a simple design, and it's about a 1 1/8 inch cutting diameter, which is about the same as the Striker, which is about the same as the Buzzcut. They're all about 1 inch or maybe a little bit over. And this is all one piece of steel. There's no replaceable blades, nothing to come loose, nothing to wiggle, nothing to vibrate. If that is a really good, you know, preference for you, and you want to really get a lot of use out of these, where you want to sharpen your broadhead after you can just sharpen these up, shoot animals with them, and keep sharpening them and keep on going. You never have to worry about replacing the blades. Like I said, it's all steel, has a nice point on it. They fly really well. Even down here, there's nothing to loosen up, nothing to rattle. You can sharpen the backs of them if you want to. So for you that, you know, go after elk and that kind of thing, moose, if you want something more traditional, more than like the Stinger Buzzcut, this would be a great option for you, especially since if you want to resharpen them, a lot of guides or something like that, a lot of guys don't want to, you know, if you think about it over time, the number of times you resharpen these and then shoot animals with them, versus replacing blades, you probably save money in the long run. You know, unless you hit a rock or something where you can completely destroy this tip. But even so, you could still ground it out if you want to. But it's a great option, and a really good broadhead. I've killed deer with them, and they work well. So those are the choices that I would give you for fixed blades. I've tried all different kinds, but those are quality choices that they all do their jobs well. The budget one I would say would be the regular Muzzy MX3 or the regular 100 grain Muzzy, which are about 35 bucks for three for the MX3, and I think if you get the regular, it's 6. The Stinger Buzzcuts, like I said, 35-ish for three of them. The Striker and the regular Mon Tech are going to be about $35 to $40 for three of them. Really good. I will say the G5 Mon Techs, they're sharp from the factory, but they're not nearly as sharp as these G5 Strikers. Now, for you guys that like to resharpen stuff anyways, you could touch them up or whatever. I mean, they're certainly sufficient to kill an animal, but for sharpness, the Buzzcut and the Striker are heads and tails above everything else that I've tested. They're just fantastic. But anyways, that's fixed blades. And if I left out your favorite fixed blade, sorry. This is from all the stuff that I've tested, from everything that I've used and killed deer with. Those are the ones that I'm left with, and those are kind of what I would use them for. And especially if you're going after bigger animals and stuff, elk and moose or whatever, they'll all work. They'll all do good jobs, depending, upon what you want. If you want a fixed blade that you can replace the blades, or if you want to sharpen it and all that kind of stuff. But let's get into some mechanicals here. Now, I really didn't trust mechanicals for years and years and years, with good reason. A lot of times, even now, guys will come out with designs that they're a good design, but they just have certain things that make them mess up or not deploy right, or they open up in flight or something, So I never, really wanted to rely on that. With these fixed blades, as long as you can get them to fly decent, you hit the animal, it's gonna, the cutting diameter is going to be what it is, and you're not going to have to really worry about a failure. For the most part, I don't think I've ever had a blade failure on a fixed blade. But with mechanicals, it's a different story. And I really wanted to shoot something that had a bigger cutting diameter to see if I could get better blood trails to kill deer faster. And also, if you make a marginal hit, which shot placement is everything, but if it does happen, you want something with that bigger cutting diameter is going to help you out. Or even if you do make a good hit, it's going to kill the deer that much faster. And really, as far as blood trails is what I'm talking. I want to get something that makes really good blood trails and is consistent and accurate. So I experimented with a bunch of different stuff, and I shot a bunch of different stuff into milk jugs, plywood, regular targets. I even took deer that I'd shot with a rifle and stuff and cleaned them up and shot through shoulder blades and all kinds of different stuff. And this is, from my testing, I probably tested, I'd say, 30 different broadheads easily. And there's a couple good designs out there. I haven't tested any of the super new for 2013 designs like the Rage Hypodermics or the Rage Extremes. I think they've been out since last year. I'm not sure. I've tested the regular Rages, but not those two new designs, which look better to me. With the shot color and a better tip on them and stuff. I think those will do better. I know a lot of guys really like them. I'm not trying to trash them or anything. I'm just saying I haven't tested those brand newest designs, which I would like to, because they seem pretty cool. But I've tested over-the-top expandables, Grim Reapers out. If you like over-the-top expandables, those are a good choice. But for me, after all was said and done, I settled on the Schwacker, and I'll tell you why. There is no other broadhead that I know of that you can shoot on an expandable broadhead that you can shoot on extremely angled shots and not have to worry about them kicking out. This broadhead will not do that. I've tested them, on my targets almost, as close to 90 degrees as you could possibly get, and I've never had one deflection. My brother killed a nice buck last year that he shot an extremely angling shot because I actually called the deer in. A little bit of a story if you want to hear it. I had gone out hunting myself. We usually try to set up together and stuff on my parents' land in Wisconsin, but I went up by myself. We had a little bit of snow on the ground. It was in the evening, and I caught my sight of the first shooter of the year. We've been hunting all year, hadn't seen a shooter yet. We had him on our cameras, but just haven't seen him hunting. Caught one through, it was a rut. It was early November, like first or second day of November, somewhere around there. Deer came through. I saw him. I knew he was a shooter. I tried to call or whatever. He was on a mission. He must have been following a doe or something. I could just see glimpses of him and that he was a decent deer. And went through and crossed kitty corner into my neighbor's land. And so me and my brother went out the next morning, set up a decoy with some scent and stuff. And we had already had stands in that area about 60 yards apart. And the deer came through, same route and everything. And I actually called him into the decoy, and he swung around and came right past my brother at about 8-9 yards. But he was looking straight on to him, and my brother had full draw on him. Obviously wasn't going to shoot then, but He wanted to wait till the deer turned, and I think the deer saw him, and so he waited till the deer took 1 or 2 steps to the side, but it was an extremely quartering shot. And we had tested these broadheads out, so he knew that the broadheads would perform, so he took the shot, and that broadhead bit perfectly, broke the rib on the inside going in, went all the way through, and it came out in the back end lower, tore a huge hole, 3, 4, 5-inch hole coming out, and deer took off, ran 40 yards, and died. It was a nice buck. You know, it worked really good. So I've seen these work on animals. I've shot some animals with them, and I've done a lot of work with them on the range. I went and took a shoulder blade of a whitetail that I'd shot with the rifle. I wish I would have recorded this. It was really cool, and I wanted to see, you know, how these would go through a shoulder blade. So I put a little bit of hide over them, put the shoulder blade there, and I put my McKenzie shot blocker behind it, and shot went right through the shoulder blade, buried into the target, and came out the back about 1 inch. So I had, you know, 15 inches of penetration or somewhere in there. I mean, plenty enough to go through both sides of a deer. And so I'm like, well, let's keep going. I shot and I did it again. And then I shot and I did it again. And then I took the other shoulder blade, I put them both together, and I shot through both of them. And it still went through both of them, buried, you know, at least 12 inches into the target. So I was really impressed with that performance. Didn't deflect, you know, broke both shoulders, and this is the same broadhead. I didn't replace the blades or anything, and did it over and over and over again. And so I was pretty happy with that. And so when I took them hunting or whatever last year, I'd shot 2 deer with them, and this here is from the first deer. You can see it does have a bent blade on it. I did step on it. I was looking for it, and it fell off a shelf, and I stepped on it a little bit, but it was a little bit bent, not as much as this. But I had a deer come in about 20 yards, and I shot, and the deer dropped a little bit at the shot, and I ended up hitting it in the spine. And this buried into the spine, and came out the other, just started barely come out the other side. But I mean, going through the spine with a 2 1/4 inch cut, I was pretty impressed. The deer went straight down. You know, I got it and everything. And that's all the damage that happened, is it did bend that one blade a little bit. Like I said, it wasn't as bent as this, but I did step on it. But as far as the edge of the blades, you know, intact, the tip perfectly intact, everything, you know, and that's going through the spine of a deer. Worked really well. And this is the second broadhead here, just from a regular, you know, double lung shot on a deer. As you can see, you know, it's got, I saved it from last year. It's still got the dirt on it from where it buried into the ground, but really no damage at all to the broadhead. And how these work, if you're not familiar with them, is one thing I like about these blades is they're not vented, they're solid. Is you got these blades here that you want, I don't know if you want to call them your initial contact blades or bleeder blades or whatever you want to call them, but these are sharpened here, and they're single bevel, which means they're only sharpened on one side, which means it has a tendency to, if it hits ribs, to want to slip in between them. It'll kind of twist and go in between them, which I think is a good thing. But so it's going along here. Let's see if I can line this up. Let's see here. Okay, so you're going along. Let's say my finger, you know, this is like a wall, like the deer's hide. Broadhead penetrates, goes through. These bleeder blades hit, cut the hide, break the bones if they need to, and then as they're going through, like this, see how those blades fold back? Because it's all one blade, and so now you've gone through the deer's chest wall, breaking the ribs or whatever with those first blades, and now these big 2 1/4 inch, these are 125 grainers, these big 2 1/4 inch blades are deployed, so you have fresh edges on your blades here to cut the arteries along, you know, the lungs and the heart. And I think sharpness makes a really big difference, rather than trying to, you know, because arteries and stuff are really rubber bandish. You know, they have a real tendency to want to slip out of the way, like a cord or something like that. So having a sharp broadhead where it's going to slice those open instead of just pushing them out of the way makes a difference, you know. But you've got those fresh blades that have gone through that chest wall that you haven't ruined them, breaking the deer's ribs and hide, to go through and keep on going. And I like the larger cutting diameter, 2 1/4 inch. I like the simple design that they're all, you know, just one screw in the middle. I like the fact that you have fresh blades to cut the deer's vitals for, and they do have a shrink band on here, which I actually like because I have a faster bow, not the fastest, but a faster bow, and I had rages open up on me. They have that little, the older rages or the regular rages, whatever you want to call them, have that little rubber band, rubber ring that the blades snap back into, and I've had those open in flight on me. And these, they have a just a shrink band that you slide on, and it's actually, I don't know if you can see on this one because the band is on. Maybe on this one you can see it more. It's kind of dark. Sorry about that. But there's a cut, a groove that's recessed in here, so the band isn't sticking out to provide wind drag. It fits just like it's slimline along here, so it doesn't provide a lot of wind drag. And those blades are not coming open. And it's actually a heat shrink, so if you really want to, you can hit it with a lighter or something, and it'll shrink them a little tighter even. I never really had to do that, but it's nice to know if you want to do that, you can. If your bow was maybe really fast or something, like 350. And it's just a good design, and it's got like a tip on here, which is a little bit smaller than like your Muzzy, but it's the same design, where it's got like a trocar type tip, so it'll bust shoulder blades, or like I said, I shot that one deer, hit it in the spine, went right into the spine, killed the deer, no problem. And just a great design, you know, sharp enough blades. I wouldn't say they're as sharp as like the Magnus Buzzcuts or the Stingers, but real close behind, especially for a mechanical. I think they're a really sturdy design, and I've had good luck with them. They fly really well. They have a 2 1/4 inch cut. They produce good blood trails. Out of all the mechanicals that I've tested, I really enjoy hunting with these because they do a good job. And especially for, you know, whitetail, antelope, your thinner skin game. I mean, you can kill elk and stuff with these. If I was going to go up into the bigger animals like elk and stuff, I might go with like a Magnus or something like this, just for the extra insurance, because you got really super heavy bone. Not that these won't work. I'm sure they'll work just fine. I might just stick with these if I were to go that, especially for elk or something. If we're going to be shooting long ranges, you know, if some of them guys shoot 60, 70 yards, you know, out west to kill elk with their bows and stuff. I'm not saying I would or whatever, but I'm just saying I know that some people shoot longer ranges out west because it's obviously a lot, you know, more open and you get longer shots and stuff. But just a great option, especially for whitetails and stuff. So I've hopefully touched on, you know, a little bit about mechanicals and fixed blades and some good designs. And I know this isn't the end-all and be-all video. I'm not the biggest expert in the world or anything, but these are just some good designs that I've had good luck with, that I've actually used, actually killed animals with, and just wanted to show you what I found. And you know, so there's some people that don't really want to go through the trouble buying all these broadheads and spending the money and, you know, having to mess around with it. There's some great options for you that you can go out, and I know from my experience that they will work for you, and I don't think they're going to let you down. So any questions or comments or anything I missed or whatever, you go ahead and comment, and I'll try to get back to you. As always, be respectful. I try to be respectful of everyone else. Like I said, if you know, you like a certain kind of broadhead and you have good luck with it, that's fantastic. This is what I have good luck with from what I've tested. I haven't tested every single broadhead on the market, but a lot of them enough to get a good handle on designs and stuff. And I really enjoy these designs. It depends on what application you want. So, and if you got something else you want to add or whatever, go ahead. Like I said, just be respectful, and I'll try to get back to you. So thanks for watching. Hope you found this informative, and I'll see you guys later.